Welcome to Fit and Free with me. I'm Angel. I'm in the Head Hutt. It's a beautiful time of day. I love it in here. And I'm going to do a little bit of yoga. It's probably going to be short and sweet today, but we'll see. I like to just wing it. I'm still working on my digestive health series, so I will be throwing in a lot of familiar poses if you've been stopping by often, and hopefully incorporating some new ones along the way. But again, we'll see. I'm going to start with a little bit of rooting myself in. It's a good time to remind you, you don't have to wear any special outfit, unholy jeans, or build yourself a hand-built fancy dome like the Head Hutt here to give yourself a little extra love. Love yourself a little bit more because you're worth it. And check in with your body regularly. Develop a healthy relationship with yourself because your body is the one thing that you're not going to be able to live without, at least so far. We haven't figured that out. And it's also one of the most fantastic things ever created by life. I mean, have you checked out your own body? It's pretty fantastic. Anyway, let's do a little checking in with it. I'm going to take a couple breaths and just root myself into the earth. I'm going to add some breathing and shoulder shrugs and just kind of breathe in and tense up, and then just give a sigh, shake it off. Let's do a couple more of those. Breathing in, tensing up. You can add the fingers and the toes and the pelvic floor, and then nice sigh, however feels good. Let's try one more. Breathing in, tensing up a little bit more, and then just letting that go. I encourage you to make some noise, get silly if you can. If you're going to disturb somebody, then do it quietly in your own head. Anyway, let's get to it then. I'm going to start off with a squat today, deep squat or malasana, I believe it's called. And I guess I'll start forward. You want to keep the feet relatively well. The closer together you keep them, the more challenging it can be. And I'm going to try not to press on my glucose monitor there. And I'm going to put my hands into prayer position. I'm noticing that I'm too far back. Do we dare adjust this? It's tricky. It's risky. But I think we can do it just a little bit. There we go. All right. Using hands in prayer position and elbows against the knees, I'm going to be pushing the knees apart and pulling the torso forward. Pressing the palms, pressing the knees. I'm not pressing back on the elbows. I'm trying to open that hip area, pelvic area, and pulling the torso forward again. And pushing the heels down. I'm pretty flexible there, so my heels don't have any trouble going down. But if you have trouble getting, oh, that's the wrong direction, getting the heels all the way down on the floor, you can put a towel or something there to help give stability. Ideally, though, you want to get all the way down onto the floor, nice deep squat, and then pushing with the elbows and pulling the body forward. Malasana. It's a nice warm-up exercise. And then from here, I'm going to put the hands down and come into tabletop position with the knees under the hips and the hands under the shoulders, relatively flat back. I'm going to go into Majariyasana or cat, tucking the pelvis, tucking the chin, pressing with both palms. I'm going to do that on the exhale, and then I'm going to counter that with an inhale into Bitilasana or cow pose, pressing up, lifting with the eyes, lifting with the chest, tipping the tailbone in the other direction, and still pulling in a little bit in the abdomen here. And then with the breath, And coming back to neutral, I'm going to tuck these toes under and lift the hips, pushing back into Adho Mukha, or downward facing dog, pressing into those heels again. Fingers are wide, palms are strong. Nice long line through the spine, out the tailbone, tipping that tailbone toward the back of the head, pulling back in the hips, pushing down in those heels. I'm going to bend the left knee, pushing into the right heel a little more. You can cross the body a little bit if you want with that bent knee to increase that press into the opposite heel. And again on each side. Bending the left knee, pressing into the right, and bending the right knee, pressing into the left. And then pressing into both heels again, shifting the hips back. I'm going to come down onto the knees again, looking for about a 90-degree angle, releasing those toes. And I'm going to slide the arms out into Uttanasana Shishosana, downward facing puppy, or down facing puppy. Nice stretch through the arms and chest. Come all the way down and put the head on the ground, or keep the head up, stretching out. Try not to collapse back in those hips, stretching out forward instead with the arms. And walking these hands back up. I'm going to flip over into a supine position and do a little bit of work on the back. Let's start off with just a little bit of balancing and rocking. Check in with the balance here. Extending the hands and the feet. You can point the toes or kick those toes back. Maybe reach for them if that feels like an option. Or you can use hands on legs for stability, or you can just reach into the air using those abdominal muscles. Flex the feet in both directions, that way and back. Get some nice flexion. Let's do a little ankle rotation. Still holding in the abdominals. And then rolling back nice and slow, lengthening the abdominals. I'm going to bring the knees with me for this round. Scooch down a little bit though. And I'm going to move this pillow though. And then bring the knees with me. Let's give those knees a hug all the way up, and a little bit of rocking on that low back because that feels good. And then bringing the knees out just a little bit more, looking for a round and 90-degree angle in every which way. I'm going to bring the hands out to each side and really try to plaster those shoulders and elbows down onto the floor. And then looking to the right, I'm going to bring those knees, keeping the knees together, over to the left for a nice supine twist. Supta Matsyender Asana, I think that's called. Coming back to center, trying to keep that 90-degree angle, which I tend to lose, and then bringing the knees to the right and looking to the left, still keeping those elbows and shoulders glued down onto the floor if possible. Getting a nice work through the abdomen, coming back to center again. I got a lot of cup hopping in my low back. I'm trying to add a little support. I might have to modify this later this week. Going back to the left with the knees, looking to the right, keeping that elbow down, and then back to center. One more time, over to the right, looking to the left. Noticing that's the side with the most ka-chunks going on. I must have put something out just a little bit. It's a good thing I'm doing some abdominal work. One of the best things you can do for low back problems is strengthen your psoas and your abdominal muscles. One of the great ways of strengthening the psoas is with leg lifts. Right now I'm having some popping in my low back. So one way to help support that is to make like a triangle with your hands and put that around or under your tailbone, and that helps give just a little more tilt to that low back and also stabilize the tailbone there. Sometimes that really helps reduce the friction if I'm getting some popping. And I used to do these all the time. I haven't been doing them, but let's try a few just because that feels good. It's time to start training for snowboarding season. I've been slacking a little. I'm not going to do too many of these because I'm still getting a lot of popping. So bringing these knees back up. Let's give them another hug, bringing that up, rocking back and forth. Sometimes you get that sacroiliac joint can get out of whack a little bit. That's sometimes what can pop. And one of the great ways of helping that just gently back into place is this move right here, hugging the knees, a little bit of gentle rocking. Sometimes it's one leg extended and bringing the other one over. I can feel that wants to adjust there, but it's not quite gonna go. I'm gonna do the other side, extending that left knee and bringing that right knee over. Sometimes that's all it takes to put things back in line. It's not a bad movement to check in on for the day. Let's try some little circles with the knees and the other way, just because that feels good on that tailbone. Ooh, we're at the pretty part of the day in the Head Hutt here, where the light comes in just so. It's a good time to remind you that I wrote a book about the Head Hutt, and it is on Amazon. I actually put the copy I have of it over there out of reach, but you can find it, Head Hutt with 2 T's, and there's probably a link to it down below. Nice and short and sweet. Like I said, I like to remind you, it doesn't have to take a long time. Of course, 20 minutes is better than 2 minutes, and sometimes 2 hours is better than 20 minutes, not all the time, but showing up consistently is really the key to improving your fitness and thereby increasing your sense of freedom. It's all interconnected, you see. Anyway, I thank you for being you, and I thank you for letting me be me. If you want to help support me, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out the description for a link to my book and many other things. And thank you if you do. Thanks for being you. Stay curious, stay courageous, stay fit, and stay free. Ciao for now.